This is a story of how 2 flights became 3, then none, then 4, and it all ended at 4, that is 4 a.m. in Sri Lanka. And this is a story of how to work with travel gods to get where you need to go. So this story is full of frustration and confusion, but as it unfolds, I can't lose my cool. That will not work. I remember reading a story just recently of a man in a foreign airport who lost his cool, used some foul language, and ended up arrested. So, can't go there. So to have a happy ending in this story, I have to balance the pushback as things don't go my way, pushing back with acceptance that sometimes I can't get what I would like to get, and patience and persistence with standing my ground to try to get control wherever I can as things are spinning out. So it's really all about that balance of those pushback and the give and take and the what you can control and what you can't control. So my story starts as a happy travel story with everything ready, and I find the check-in desk at the airport, I get to the agent, everything is good, and that's where the happy story ends. So I have 2 flights that I'm taking, 2 short flights, should be 5 hours total. I get to the first flight, agent, and I'm told immediately, oh, that flight has been delayed by many hours, and so therefore you aren't going to be able to make the connection if you take this flight. And I'm thinking, well, now what do we do with that? So I'm patient, I'm listening, and he says his suggestion is to cancel that flight, rebook on another airline because this airline doesn't have any more flights that day. So now I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, I need to go to some other airline desk and I need to buy another ticket. So I'm lost this ticket, but I'm buying another ticket on another airline. So where am I doing that and who's paying for that? So it's starting to get very confusing. And which airline am I checking in on and which one am I leaving my little suitcase with? I'm totally confused. So in order to deal with that, my strategy is a lot of smiling, a lot of apologizing for not understanding and saying, you know, I'm not sure what's going on here. Can you just tell me that one more time? Can you help me understand? I'm going over there, then I'm coming back over here, and how are these refunds being handled? And so by doing that, the agent is very patient and explains things over and over, which I appreciate. So eventually we get this figured out, and the plan is he's going to cancel that first flight on his airline. I'm going to go to this other airline desk, you know, across the way in the check-in area, buy a ticket, and then arrange to take care of the financial pieces of that later. First thing is I need to have that ticket because I need to get to my connecting flight. So this one is leaving earlier, which will get me there in plenty of time. So I'm like, okay, all right, it's gonna be okay, chill, minor setback, it's all right. So I'm happy, story is going okay again. So the first flight is successful. I get on that flight, I get to my connecting airport, and I'm ready to go and find that second flight, which was the same one that I had originally booked. So everything is good there. I go and I find the check-in area there, I find that flight, and oh look, it's been canceled. Oh, so that flight's not happening at all. That one is done. And so at this point I'm thinking, well, I don't know where I'm going to go now. But the airline for that one is being very good about helping people out. So we're waiting for at least an hour as all of us from this other flight are now getting rerouted to another flight on yet another airline. So by the end of this, I need a spreadsheet for all the airlines I've been on just to get this short distance. So we have another airline. They put us on that airline, but it's not leaving until midnight. It's now only about 5 in the afternoon. So if I had known that the second flight was going to be canceled, I could have just taken that first one and there would have been more than enough time to get there for a midnight connection. But of course, the travel gods didn't tell me that. So, can't worry about that. Let that go. So anyway, they put us on the airline, this new flight, and that was, so we're okay for now. So now, I need to let people know that this flight is now getting there later. And so I asked the agent, how do I get connected to Wi-Fi? I mean, it says free Wi-Fi, but then when you get on there, it's asking for a local phone number, which of course I don't have. I'm flying through a country that I'm not staying in. So why would I have a local phone number? So I'm going through all of that, trying to figure out how to contact people. Again, let's get some control here. Let's figure out things. Let's take the steps. I got to let people know I'm going to be late. So the agent says, well, if you don't have a local India phone number, you can't get on the Wi-Fi here. And I looked at her and I said, seriously? This airport, which is a good-sized airport, only has Wi-Fi for people who are local, who are flying through, and yet it's an international airline or airport. So again, I'm wanting to lose my cool. I'm getting a little frustrated, but I'm just trying to reason with her. And she said, I said, so in other words, if you are flying through here and you want internet while you're flying through here, you have to be a local person. I said, but you know, that couple over there that I see walking past, they don't look local. They don't look Indian to me. Neither do those people over there. And I kind of laughed and said, you know, they don't look so local to me. And so I got through to her to the point where she said, well, okay, maybe that's not quite how it works. I said, okay, but the bottom line is, I need you to help me get connected somehow to the Wi-Fi, because there are people waiting for me at the other end, which I'm now not going to be there for hours. So one of the other agents came up who was also trying to kind of help, and he said, well, I'll tell you what, you could use my private line right now, my private internet. You can hotspot to my phone. And I said, oh, okay. So now the frustration is kind of relieved. I've kind of reasoned with them. They've realized I'm not going to get too upset. But I said, I do need to get hold of someone. This is important. And so I was able to do that. And so we got that problem resolved, and I was able to hotspot to this person's phone. So everything is looking a little better again. I've got a new flight, a new airline. I've got internet so that I can notify people. And so now I just have to wait for, you know, a couple of hours, several hours to be able to check in for this new flight that's leaving later. Okay, everything looks good now. I'm feeling okay. So I go to check in now at the check-in time for this new flight on the new airline. And I'm waiting in line. Of course, we all wait in line to check in. I get up there to the desk, hand them my ticket that they gave me, that they, you know, arranged for me. And I said, okay, I'm ready. And they said, oh, we're really sorry, but this flight is overbooked and you've been bumped. And I said, really? I have already missed that first flight because it was canceled, waited an hour to get onto this flight, waited to check in, and now you're telling me that it's been overbooked, so I'm being bumped, even though I was one of the earlier people in the line. So at this point, it's time to do a little pushback. At this point, no, this is not okay. And so, of course, right away I talked to an agent and he tells me, you know, this is what's happening. And he said, you know, you can just stay the night and we'll put you on a flight in the morning. And my response at that point was, that doesn't work for me. Just very simple, very flat. That doesn't work for me. I need to be at my destination tonight. We've done this, this, and this. I've cooperated. You've tried to cooperate. I've gotten bumped from a flight that you got me a ticket on. This doesn't work for me. I need to figure out a way to get me to my destination tonight. So not angry, not upset, but making a point. I need to be there. I need you to help me figure that out. And then not to walk away, but to say, tell me what you're going to do. What are you going to do here? So at this point, they realized that they were not going to be able to just shuffle me to a hotel that night and put me on another flight. And so the agent says, okay, give me 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. Let me go over to the desk here, wait over here, and I'll be right back. Well, of course, 2 minutes is 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And so again, I'm cooperating, I'm trying to compromise, but at the same time, that's too long. So now I go to the desk and make myself visible. And I think that's one of the things too, that, in order to try to get some control back in some of these situations, they say, well, go sit over there, I'll come and find you. But you need to stay visible so that they know they need to get this resolved, and that you are going to kind of stay in their face until they do. So I went and sat over there for, my 20 minutes or so, and then said, no, that's enough. Now it's time to push back. And so I went and found him and said, tell me what you've got. What's happening here? I need, which flight are you going to get me on? Am I going to be on this flight at midnight? And so at that point he said, well, let me go talk to my supervisor. So at this point, he came back now in a much shorter time frame because he knows I'm not going away. And so he comes back again and he says, okay, we have found you, we've rebooked you. We wrote a new ticket for you, and we're able to rebook you on this flight, and we think you should be able to get on. We think you won't be bumped, it'll be okay. So I'm like, okay, fantastic, I appreciate that. So now I'm waiting, and we'll come get you at 11 o'clock. I go over to the desk at 11:30, and they say, well, we don't know for sure yet. Just go sit over there. So at this point, I'm not going and sitting anywhere. Now I'm right in front of them. And again, I'm not being upset, I'm not being angry, but I'm visible, and I'm there, and I'm not going away. And so now they were able to get me this ticket, which is now my third ticket, to try to get to this second leg of my flight. And so it's check-in time. I get to the check-in desk, and I'm waiting, and now it's late because now that gate is closing, the check-in is closing at 11:30, and it's now nearly that. So I finally get up there, and when I get up there, now I'm like, okay, we're done. I'm getting on here. And so I give the agent my paper ticket that they have now gotten for me again, and the agent says, well, this doesn't make any sense. I don't see, this is not a flight. This is not the right flight. What I see here in the computer is not what I see on the paper. So now I'm like, you're kidding me. I do not believe this is happening. But again, I'm just going, okay, so we need to call these agents back. We need to figure out what went wrong here. So they did. They came over. Once again, they had to go back to this other airline desk and reissue yet another ticket so the numbers would match. By this time, I'm really pretty burned out. But I'm still going, as long as you get me on that plane. At this point, I'm looking at them going, please put me on this plane. I really need to be on this plane. You're going to get me on this plane, right? And really appeal to them. And now at this point, they have put in a lot of effort. They actually have. They've been spending hours also trying to put me on that plane. And so finally, it was end of check-in. It was like 11:40, and I was the last one still standing there. But they did get me on. They did make sure that I got on. At that point, I'm practically hugging these guys. I said, oh, you guys, I appreciate your patience, and really kind of turned the whole thing around, because between them and me, we did end up controlling the situation and getting me on that plane. And so the funniest thing at the end of this story is everything's good. I got my ticket. I thank them. I run down the hall because now it's very late. They're boarding that plane. And so I run through security, which luckily was short because it's midnight. And it's like run through security, run down to the gate to find out that boarding has been delayed. Of course it has. But I got on the plane and it all ended up with a happy ending. So there, travel gods,